video, which is a close-up of a craft, so close that you can see the occupants. It is 100% real, and I was there as that was filmed.
This is 100% genuine footage.
Avatar bodies that have demon spirits inside of them, permission through a technology where they can have physical bodies like this so demons can have a housing to walk into this earth.
And this is 100% genuine footage.
Demonic entities are...
Is Joseph Z's explanation about aliens being demons or demon spirits inhabiting an avatar body, is this a convincing explanation? And will it stand the test of time when ultimate disclosure takes place?
I believe all of this marshaled together, they're leading towards an ultimate disclosure.
Glad you could join me. I have something very interesting to share with you. Well, a couple of things that is really going to stretch your mind. And if you're watching this video, if you watch this channel, it means that you are an enthusiast like myself. You love the mysteries of God, the mysteries in the Bible, kingdom mysteries, alien UFO phenomenon, the supernatural, the paranormal, things that are beyond explanation but can be explained, that I believe are within the biblical text, within the canon, but we need to dive deeper than just what we see on the surface when it comes to scripture. And the Bible's multidimensional, and it has many more stories to tell than what actually meets the eye. So I want to share a few things with you today, and it's got to do with the alien phenomenon, UFOs, the Nephilim, the Rephaim. What's the difference between the two? Now, I've been on this journey for quite a while. I'm reading a number of books, and I'm going to share some of the great resources that I'm diving into myself so that you can go and explore them yourself. Okay, let's talk about Joseph Z. Now, what makes Joseph Z so interesting to me is he is not afraid to share his thoughts or ideas on the alien UFO phenomenon. And if you've been around the Christian world for a long enough time, you would realize, or you'd know, that any influential, respected minister that shares their thoughts or opinions on this is immediately branded as somebody who's gone off the rails. You know, you've gone flaky off the rails, and something's not right with you. But a man that I highly respect, who is not with us anymore, is Dr. Chuck Missler, because he was not afraid to share his sights and his insights and thoughts on this. And I'm actually reading, I've had this book for a number of years, but I'm really going over it in greater detail at the moment. And if you can see that, if you can look past the reflection, it's called Alien Encounters, The Secret Behind the UFO Phenomenon, Chuck Missler and Mark Eastman. This is, in my opinion, and I've read quite a lot of material on the subject and similar about, you know, the Nephilim, aliens, UFOs, the pre-Diluvian era before the flood of Noah. And this, I would say, is one of the best and most expounded go-to resources if you're interested in diving deeper into this from a biblical approach. Okay, Chuck Missler was he was a brilliant biblical scholar. He taught some amazing teachings. He taught through the whole Bible. He's got literally a commentary of the entire Bible, and I would highly encourage you, if you haven't heard of him, to go and, you know, glean from his content. You will not be sorry. It's not a waste of time. Like I say, he was a very diligent biblical scholar, and he's got some extremely interesting things to share. Now, what makes Joseph Z so interesting, and I'm not here to speak of him in a negative context, but what makes him so interesting is he is a very prominent, up and rising prophetic voice within contemporary apostolic prophetic charismatic, and he is voicing this thing about the alien phenomenon, which makes it very interesting. So he's not afraid for the persecution that comes from mainstream church Christianity that'll say, oh, he's gone off topic and he's gone off, lost focus on the gospel. I would agree with much of what he says, but there's certain things that I still find frustrating, because he's still sounding the same narrative that our Christian leaders refuse to let go of, and that is the fact that aliens are demons. And I'm going to explain to you why I think that is extremely ridiculous if you look at our current charismatic, apostolic, prophetic, and I'm going to now zero in more on the deliverance movement. The deliverance, any influential, respected deliverance minister would agree that a demon is a disembodied spirit. Okay? Also taught in the book of Enoch that there was a curse placed on the Nephilim that were destroyed in the flood. There was a curse placed upon them that they would linger on the earth, they would dwell on the earth in disembodied spirits, in veiled matter, another terminology, but they would not have physical contact with the physical earth realm. So this is a curse God placed upon them, so that they would walk around the earth not being able to fulfill their cravings that they had in their Nephilim bodies. And so most deliverance movement ministers would agree with that. A demon is a disembodied spirit. Okay, in order to fulfill their lusts and cravings, they have to possess either a human vessel or an animal even. That's what they would all agree, most of them, 99.9%. But then these same proponents would come out and say that a demon, that an alien, if it's an alien, or if somebody came encountered an alien being or UFO, they're demons. Okay, now I find it contradictory on their own account, because it contradicts what their own definition of a demon is. Now, so we have to look further and deeper into what really is this phenomenon that people are experiencing, and it is rapidly increasing. So I'm going to play a video quickly from Joseph Z.
The clip I opened with, talking about this ship, this craft that was in the sky that somebody filmed. I want you to look at this because you're going to see this vessel, and I want you to understand what you're looking at. And as they zoom in, you can actually see these little entities that are inside of this craft. Now, they claim this is real. Of course, everything that's out there on the internet, if it's on the internet, it must be real. But this one has just a feeling to it, a realism to it that I think is important. So let's watch it one more time. Listen carefully to what the narrator is saying as they show this. Now, this was taken many years ago. Well, let's take a good look at this and you be the judge. But I do think there's nothing here. Let's watch together.
This is the video called a Comburgus video, which is a close-up of a craft, so close that you can see the occupants. It is 100% real, and I was there as that was filmed.
The whole footage has been analyzed from our scientific board for 2.5 weeks, frame by frame, pixel by pixel, and this is 100% genuine footage.
If we could, Elijah, let's show it on the monitor here. I want to come right over to it. This is what they're talking about. Is this?
Now listen, this is what I want you to listen to.
You see this
listen
one,
to
there's
his
another one next to
explanation.
it. But if you look at that, you can
About
make
the
up a
aliens.
face of a nefarious little whatever. Now, I think when you see these and they really appear, now my wife had an encounter with this type of scenario, bound it, rebuked it in Jesus' name, and it left. I got to tell you, what I think these are is little avatar bodies that have demon spirits inside of them. And I believe there's some form of permission through a technology where they can have physical bodies like this, so demons can have a housing to walk into this earth. And I believe this is what we're seeing. I'm going to go into this extensively today for the purpose of hope and giving you answers to why I think this is going to happen. I believe ultimately they're going to bring an ultimate disclosure to everybody for a purpose of deception. I believe this will be a last days, end times deception that's coming.
So Joseph Z believes that these are demon spirits, remember, disembodied spirits that were cursed by God, placed in a parameter that they cannot move out of, but they have somehow managed to create these humanoid avatar bodies, and they are possessing these bodies, and they're using these bodies to probe our planet and to have contact with our physical world, and abducting human beings and doing things to them that stretches far beyond what these disembodied spirits are actually allowed to do according to the curse that was placed upon them. So, and then also, how did they manage to create these bodies? Now, this does run sort of in line with a new age explanation by also a lady that passed away a few years ago, Dolores Cannon, a very prominent voice in the New Age movement. And she also came up with the idea, or she said that she was communicating with this higher alien race, which is called the Pleiadians, where also known as the Nordic sort of race of aliens, white hair, blue eyes, pale skin. Some refer to them, or Gary Wayne in his book refers to them as the elven race, and that is where the writer of Lord of the Rings got the whole idea with the elves. You know, the whole look, the complexion of the elves, and they sort of like this higher class of being, more spiritually evolved. So she was in contact with these beings, and they told her that they use these alien humanoids with the big heads, oblong-shaped heads, and the almond eyes. They use these beings to probe our planet, to convey messages and to have contact with our physical world. So that runs in line with the New Age explanation. So it's more New Age than actual Christian. I would say that the best explanation I have come up, or I have encountered, would be a man called Timothy Alberino, and he's also done a wonderful book about this that I'm also studying at great length. And so I would say he's probably, for me personally, the best go-to resource. Another one would be Gary Wayne. I'm actually reading his book as well. So like I said, I'm doing extensive study and research from authoritative voices on the topic. Gary Wayne did he's actually got 2 books. I'm reading the first one at the moment, and it's called The Genesis 6 Conspiracy. This is what it looks like if you want to go and have a look. The Genesis 6 Conspiracy. There you'll see it there. And this is how secret societies and the descendants of giants plan to enslave humankind. So there are voices out there that have very good explanations, very good arguments for what is happening. And I'm going to share some stuff from Gary Wayne's book, how he talks about the bloodlines from the ancient Nephilim and the Rephaim. And that we even takes it right back to the Garden of Eden with the Nahash, the serpent that beguiled Eve. So let's just end off with Joseph Z's explanation here. I still feel that he hasn't moved away from the current narrative, which is completely ridiculous. Absolutely. By their own definition, they have contradicted themselves. Now, let me quickly address some of the arguments when any Christian comes forth and says, "Oh, aliens are beings, they are physical beings, they were even created by God even." Now I'm talking from great leaders right down to the average church attendee. There's an offense that arises in their heart, and they say, "Oh, are you saying that we are not alone in this universe? Are you saying that God created this being that is more intelligent than us, that has access to more advanced technology, has more knowledge about the ancient world than we do? Are you saying that we are not that significant?" And I'm going to be bold and say this: no, we're not that significant. And the offense grows even greater. We are not that significant. Well, first of all, because of our belief system, and it goes back to belief systems, let me ask you a question. This book, well, who is this book about? What or who is this book about? Now, most Christians will say, "Oh, this book is about us. It's about humanity. It's about God creating man in his image, and we are gods, and he sent Jesus to come and die for us and save us because he came to redeem the original image of mankind." Now, I would say to you that is a false biblical narrative. That is not the Bible message, not even the gospel message. This book is not anthropocentric. We have created this anthropocentric Christian message. It's about you going to get blessed, your best life now. You are gods. You are going to do this. God. And look, I'm not saying God doesn't want to bless us. I'm not saying we are not unique in the Father's eyes. We are. We are created in the image of God. But we are not as special as we thought we are in the context of this book. And I know that's going to offend a lot of people. This book is Christocentric. This is a message about Jesus Christ. It's about the last Adam. It's about Christ, the Son of God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. All things were made through him. Not anything was made without him. All things are held together by the word of his power. This book is about the God-man, Jesus Christ, the second member of the Godhead who became man and redeemed mankind. And we are embraced into that message about this individual. This is a Christocentric message, not anthropocentric. We've made it about us because now that is where the offense comes from a wrong belief system, a wrong theology. Yes, we are not that significant. We are unique. We are created in the image of God, but we are not the center of the universe. We are not the center of the message. Christ is, but we are brought into the center of the message. Gary Wayne explains in his book that how the Gnostics believed the Nahash, the being in the Garden of Eden that beguiled Eve, was a being a bit bigger than humans, possessed intelligence and remarkable abilities, and he seems to believe that these beings first ruled the earth during day 6 of creation. Now, if we look at day 6 of creation in Genesis chapter 1, we read about God creating the beasts of the field. So let me quickly read that to you. And verse 24, Genesis chapter 1, and God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock and creeping things and beasts of the earth according to their kinds. And it was so. And God made beasts of the earth according to their kinds, and the livestock according to their kinds, and everything that creeps on the earth or on the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Remember, God saw that it was good. Then we read the account where the serpent beguiled Eve. So listen to this, chapter 3 verse 1. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. Remember that the Lord God had made them, and he said that it was good. So what happened to this serpent, this Nahash creature, that it became malevolent in nature, that was deceptive? So that is a question that I'm not going to answer in this video. There are many different views and interpretations as to how that happened. Now, most would believe in the gap theory, that these beings inhabited planet Earth before the inauguration of mankind, before Adam, and which is probably, it's a good argument, and it wouldn't contradict anything. But this Nahash creature, this serpent, as Gary Wayne describes in his book, was a little bit higher in stature than the average human being, and it possessed remarkable intelligence. So there were a race, or probably multiple different type of races in the beasts of the field. We're not just talking about lions and gorillas and hippopotamuses and elephants and giraffes and horses and birds. We are talking about other living creatures, intelligent beings that were part of this beasts of the field that God created. And like I say, how they became nefarious, malevolent, deceptive in nature type of creatures, we don't know. We know there's many different speculations and viewpoints, which I'm not going to get into here, but I think Gary Wayne has a very, very good logical, and it's a very good argument from my perspective, my opinion. And he says that these beings were intelligent, they were rulers during day 6, before Adam came onto the scene. We don't know how long day 6 was. We don't know if it was a literal day, or if it was 1,000 years or longer. We don't know. But there's a possibility that these beings ruled the earth. I'm not talking about gap theory. I'm talking about day 6 in creation. And something happened that caused them to fall, which was probably linked to the rebellion of Lucifer. Now, he says some of these beings of this mysterious race from the Nahash may have escaped at the time when the serpent or the Nahash was cursed by God. So he says that the serpent that beguiled Eve, this character that appears in chapter 3, may have been like, in a sense, the tribal head of this type of race. And when this being was cursed to crawl on its belly and eat dust for the rest of its life, the rest of the race, or even multiple races, some of them may have escaped. And he goes on and he categorizes them into 4 different categories. And one of these creatures, which he references from, now we're going into Gnostic sources here, polytheistic belief system, but he says one of them was called the salamander. And this was sort of like a taller human, not quite giants, but they were depicted as living in tunnels in the earth, burrows, probably may have more than likely were interdimensional, had the abilities to move through dimensions higher than we can. We have tales and stories about, even from the ancient indigenous people in South America and even in the Andes Mountains, that there are worlds underneath the Andes Mountains and in places in Peru, that there are these beings that are living in the Andes Mountains, deep under the earth, in deep tunnels and burrows under the earth, unexplored terrain. But this is what grabbed my attention, because I've been looking, there was a missing link with this alien entity, because I know that it's not a demon spirit, it's not some spirit spook thing that is inhabiting an avatar body. Come on, let's throw the ridiculous arguments and explanations away out the window. Let's throw it out the window and let's grab onto something more substantial, more logical, more biblical, and not contradictory. So he says that, like I say, this is what grabbed my attention, is that he says that a lot of these beings were fairy-like. They were grey in color, mischievous like gnomes. You know the whole tale about gnomes. So we're going into folklore, yeah, with the whole thing about werewolves, vampires. And by the way, many people in the occult that are deep in the occult will testify that they have had encounters with physical werewolves, vampires. This stuff is real. Like I say, whether you laugh at it or not, it is real. Read the book by what's her name, Rebecca Brown. These things are real, but obviously a lot of it is suppressed by media. That's why they want to ban TikTok, because they can't control it. TikTok pushes out stuff that they do not want the masses, the goyim, because it is jeopardizing, or it is a threat to the esoteric narrative that is pushed out by media, by deep state, American government, and the small minority. So going back to this now, this is what really caught my attention, is that these beings that he explains from Gnostic roots, from polytheistic ancient belief systems, they talk about these beings that were mischievous, they were small, they were grey in color, and they kept knowledge and technology of the demigods, going back to the antediluvian era. They kept, so some of them may have escaped. This is his argument. Some of these creatures or beings may have escaped into terrain under the earth, and maybe even into different, star systems, maybe even Mars. Maybe these creatures, these alien greys, are living under the ground in Mars. It's a possibility. Maybe they are living under the ground in the earth. That's a possibility. Maybe they're living deep in the ocean. That's a possibility. So these are things we need to look at. But the thing is, one thing's for sure, we cannot ignore the fact that they are real. They have been here from antiquity, and they are abducting people. There are countless documents about alien abductions that cannot be explained away as, oh, it's a spiritual thing where it's a demonic encounter, and if this happens to you, it means your faith is off, you're strayed away from the faith. There is physical evidence from many different victims that have experienced similar things, and they all describe the same being with the oblong-shaped head and the almond-shaped eyes, grey in color, very stoic in nature. This also goes against the whole explanation about aliens being demons. Why would a demon spirit possess a body of an alien being that is stoic in nature, very robotic? It's emotionless. It doesn't even have a sex organ. It doesn't even eat, it doesn't even drink. So what is a demon spirit going to want to do inside that thing? We want to stick in this comfort zone, this little Sunday school narrative Christian bubble. And dare we step out and launch into the deep, into the greater things of God. And so that is why I think why they hold on to that, because it's too comfortable. let's just play the common narrative and let's just stay within our conformity and play it safe until ultimate disclosure happens, and then your foundation is going to be shaken. Don't just listen to what you hear on everyday mainstream Christianity, because their explanation, their theology might not be the right one. It might not be the right one. So anyway, Gary Wayne in his book, he goes on and he says, so these fairy-like creatures come from the offspring of the Watchers. He talks about the elven race. Now, remember I spoke about the Nordics, or what's called the Pleiadian alien race, which I firmly believe were the defective sons of God that were in the house of God, which Alberino calls the elder race, that we are the younger siblings of this elder race. So I believe the Pleiadians are the defected sons of God, that defected, that left, that rebelled against the order of heaven, and they took on wives. Remember, they married wives. They did not rape women. They married wives. In the patriarchal era, they went to the fathers and they asked the fathers for the hand in marriage of their daughters. They took wives. Why? Because they wanted to advance their bloodline in the earth. And this is what I believe the gray alien species is doing. It is trying to advance its bloodline in the earth. That is why every abduction is got some sexual connotation to it, where they're experimenting with the human sex organs, and it's always got some type of sexual element to it, because that is what they are hell-bent on doing. And so hear me out here. I don't believe these creatures are good. They are malevolent. They are nefarious. They are here for their own good. They are mischievous, as Gary Wayne mentioned in his book. But I believe they are from the fairy-like gnome type of bloodline that existed during the pre-Diluvian era, that may have even been part of the beasts of the field in Genesis day 6 before inauguration of mankind. And something happened and they became part of the rebellion, and they are trying to advance their bloodline, and they are mixing it with human DNA, because the ultimate agenda of the Antichrist is to usurp the birthright of the Son of Man. But there is a Son of Man in heaven that is seated at the right hand of God. So when all hope looks lost, John standing in heaven weeping because no one's worthy to open the scroll of the Son of Man, of mankind, and they stop in heaven and they say, wait, there is one worthy, the Lamb that was slain before the foundation of the world. He is worthy to open the seal, because although he is fully God, he was born Son of Man, meaning that the serpent cannot usurp the birthright, because Son of Man is still seated at the right hand of the Father. Alberino goes into this at length in his book, which I'm studying at great length as well, which is fascinating. And it beats against the current Christian, the mainstream narrative. And that is what I love, because it's shaking the foundation, because what needs to be shaken will be shaken. A lot of our prophetic is just, there's such a dumbing down within our contemporary apostolic prophetic. It's all about control, about going, it's an anthropocentric message. Go and get your mantle, go and receive this, go and get that. This is all absolute nonsense. It is not going to stand the test of time when the ultimate disclosure takes place, and it's going to be very soon. If you are of the argumentative, cynical, conservative type of group, then you know what, I've got some amazing content to share with you, so stick along for the ride. Now, Gary Wayne goes on, he talks about the Templars saw the Knights Templars, or the Templars, they saw the elven bloodline as the Magionic bloodline. So this is a higher type of race that were, like I believe, are the defected sons of God, the Watchers that came down, and they created a hybrid being, that which we call the Nephilim, and there were different type of species. Some even procreated with animals, I believe. I think that's where we get the dinosaurs from, dragons. Okay, that's not set in stone. I'm subject to change my viewpoint on that, but that's what I currently believe. So if you've got a different argument, share it with me. Let's see, let's study it out. So he talks about now, very interesting, the Aleph or the ALF in Catholic Encyclopedia talks about the bloodlines of the Elohim. Now ALF is also ELF, Elf, which now is a branch of these elven kings or hybrid human Nephilim beings or races that existed during the pre-Diluvian era, which God wiped out, completely eradicated. But I believe there's a possibility that some of them escaped, like I say, whether into the Andes Mountains, deep under the terrain, under the earth. There is a theory about hollow earth. They say there's a whole other world underneath there. We don't know, possibly. The Bible talks about a place called Sheol or Hades within the center of the earth. So there's Bible for that. But he talks about this now. Now we've got the Nephilim and the Rephaim. Now the Nephilim are believed to be the hybrid offspring of the defective sons of God that lived during that time before the flood, the pre-Diluvian era. The Rephaim, most theologians will say, or biblical scholars would say, they are the offspring of the giants after the flood, post-Diluvian era. A lot of scholars believe that Goliath and the brothers of Goliath came from the bloodline of the Rephaim. So some extremely fascinating things for you to search out if you are enthusiasts like myself. But I encourage you to let go of the current narrative, because it is not going to work as we approach ultimate disclosure. Unplug yourself from the dumbing down that's happening in our contemporary prophetic apostolic. A lot of the stuff is going to be useless, I can guarantee you. But I assure you, what's going to stand the test of time is this book. This multi-dimensional message from a being that stands outside of our dimensional reality and conveys a message, a Christocentric message about a man, the God-man who came to earth, born of a virgin woman. And he was born fully God, fully man, the Christ man, and then fully embraced humanity into himself, the last Anthropos, the last Adam. And we become part of the Christocentric message. Now I know a lot of you are still angry with the fact that I said we're not that special. Now look, we are unique. We are created in the image of God. We are sons of God. We have been invited back to the Father's house like the prodigal son. Return to the house of the Father. Christ came to bring us back to the house of God, where there is, by the way, an elder sibling, an elder brother, who was maybe even jealous that we were treated in a special way. So okay, yes, we are special, but I'm tackling the false belief system that we've been indoctrinated with, this anthropocentric message that is anti-biblical, anti-gospel. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I have a lot more to share, and hopefully I will do that in future videos. So let me know what you think about this whole thing, about the Rephaim, the Nephilim, the Nordic race, the Pleiadian alien race, the Greys, all the stuff. Let me know what you think. And I would highly encourage you to study this out for yourself. Like I say, don't listen to everything you hear and see. Not all of it is true. There might just be another explanation. An alien might just not be a demon, and it might just be in the biblical record. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and I'll see you in another video.